Welcome to Boldness Talks, a podcast series created by the Winnipeg Boldness Project, where we check in with leaders, organizations, and partners in our community and the important work that they're engaged in.
Hello, Kalen, and welcome to our little series called Boldness Talks.
It's so good to be here.
Yeah, we've been super excited to have you on and to talk about all the cool things that I know you're involved in.
Oh, well, thank you.
You are the current executive director of Purpose Construction. So why don't we start there and you just tell me a little bit about what that is?
I have been lucky enough to be the executive director of Purpose. Actually, today is my 3-year anniversary. I just got a text. So it's been 3 years now. Yeah, and it's been a really fantastic journey. Purpose Construction, for folks who might not know us, is a social enterprise that hires folks with barriers to employment. We provide trades training and paid employment for those people. So I think at this point, probably about 40% of our total staff is made up of folks exiting the justice system. The majority of those folks are Indigenous. The remaining 60% is mostly refugees and very newcomer Canadians. And so our population has been shifting a bit over the last couple of years. And it's been a really tremendous opportunity for me. It's been really fun. I inherited Purpose from a very close friend of mine, Lucas Stewart, who founded the company and was moving on. And so it's always a bit scary to take care of someone else's baby. But I think we've done a lot of really fantastic things at Purpose over the last couple of years.
Do you think it's evolved since its inception and since it was founded?
When Purpose was first founded, it was called Manitoba Green Retrofit. It was 2 staff based out of a warehouse on Selkirk Avenue. Now we are about 30 staff. And when I say staff, I mean trainees. We pay folks and we employ them as staff, even though in a lot of cases it's a very training intensive first year. So yeah, we've changed a lot. We've expanded. Initially, we were doing only housing turnovers for Manitoba housing, social housing, which is really fixing holes in the walls. It's painting after somebody moves out. It might be some light cabinetry work. Today, we're doing all kinds of construction. We're doing commercial construction. We're working on big high rises with general contractors like PCL and Boxstall. We still do about $2 million in work with social housing a year. It's absolutely our base. We're going to talk about this a little bit later, but we're actually crewing up right now to start building affordable housing for the first time. So for us, that's very, very exciting. It lets us get a chance to train people from the foundation up to the roof. We can do every single part of home construction, which is a fantastic training ground for people. And we're building affordable housing for people in the community. So that's really the future, I think, of Purpose. 2 years from now, I'd like you guys to all know Purpose as an affordable housing developer primarily. And I think that that's such a good opportunity. So yeah, we continue to evolve. It's been a long journey.
And as I've said at the beginning, that I know you're involved in so many other things, but I think what has connected us, Boldness, we're a social innovation lab. So we've really been, in the world of social innovation. And so that's where yours and my worlds have definitely intersected. And so I consider to be somebody who's one of the more versed people in the whole social enterprise world, certainly in Winnipeg. What is a social enterprise and why do you think you've chosen that business model?
Oh, I think honestly, I'll start with the first question. Social enterprise for me is a business that mixes social value and business principles. So it's a nonprofit business in our case, although certainly some social enterprises are for profit, but baked into our bylaws, baked into the structure of our organization is profit sharing with staff. So any money we make gets recycled back to staff or it gets recycled back to expanding the business itself. I can't take any money out of the business. I can take no profit. We have a community board made up of folks who are in one way or another involved in the sector we work in. Kind of a mix actually between people in the North End, people directly impacted by the work we do, and folks working at larger general contracting companies who can connect us to the work we need. It means that the training part, who we hire and why we hire them, all of that is baked into the mission of the company. I can't make another choice. If I, as the business owner, need a carpenter and I need them fast, I can't go out and hire a Red Seal off the street who has had every advantage in the world, right? I only hire folks from our target, which is people with barriers to employment, and that is everybody in the company. So it really changes the way we do business. So that's social enterprise to me. I got into social enterprise, honestly, because of how frustrating I found running a nonprofit. I am not sure how, for me, I can make the social change I want my work to accomplish if I am chasing grant money and I am working exclusively on the priorities established by grantors. That's not always what we need. For me, running a social enterprise means that I get to we get to be far more responsive because I'm not reliant on government money. Some are, but we are not. I make all of my income, all of our income is earned income. It all happens by doing construction work. And that way, if something comes up in my daily life that needs support, I get to make that decision, not a funder, you know? So, and I'll tell you a story actually to illustrate this. We have somebody who works with us named Lee. He's been with us for about 5 years. You know, he's been in jail. He has struggled a lot in his life, but over the course of the time he's been with us, you know, he's raising his grandkids now. He's got a house. He's with his partner. He's really stabilized his life, and he's managed to stabilize the lives of a lot of people around him. So he comes to me one day and he is late for work. So he's in trouble. But he says the reason why he was late for work was that as he was leaving his house, he got jumped. And so he was about to hit this kid, right? He's in front of his house and he knows what he's doing. And he said, as he was kind of drawing back, he looked at this kid and he was like, oh God, this kid is me like 15 years ago, you know? This kid is a teenager. He's going to end up in trouble. He recognized himself in the kid. And he ended up taking him out for breakfast. That's why he's late for work. Drove the kid to school, and then came to me and asked if we could start a mentorship program. He wanted to bring the kid to work with him. He wanted to sort of adopt this kid who had tried to jump him before work. And could I come up with something so that he could bring this kid to work with him sometimes? But, you know, maybe he wanted to expand this. Maybe he thought like a number of our guys who have been, you know, really through it and have put themselves together again, maybe they could be mentoring on the job site too. So in a nonprofit model, I would have to go look for funding for that, right? It's cost money on insurance, admin work to do. It would be a program we'd be trying to start. I'd be off chasing funding. I was able to put money towards that the next day. Instead of waiting 8 months to have that happen, Lee was able to start bringing that kid to work with him right away. We were able to figure it out. Because to me, that's part of Lee's healing. It's part of the kids' healing. It's part of who I want us to be in the community. But the flexibility social enterprise has given me, I really appreciate.
That is an amazing story. I love Lee. I've never met Lee, but I love Lee.
Oh, he's the best.
I love that Lee works in an organization that could respond in that way. You just don't hear that kind of a story all the time. And to me, that's quintessential North End. There's lots to be said about social enterprise and the continuum of social enterprise, but absolutely, you know, we're here to, in terms of the economics, serving a higher purpose or a, you know, a social purpose. It's not just
exactly
making money.
Exactly.
That being a means to an end, right? For a better community for all of us.
Well, you know, and a big moment happened for me a couple of years back, looking at the government budget, actually, looking at the federal budget and looking at how much money gets spent in the economy by government that is not grant funding to charities and nonprofits. It is 98% of the money that gets spent. It is the vast majority of money that gets spent in the economy is not going to support nonprofits. How do I get access to that money? You know, the money that's getting spent in the economy outside of what's allocated to nonprofits. So for me, the government is already fixing up social housing. Every time someone moves out, somebody comes in, they paint, they patch the holes. Why not have it be me, right? And by me, I mean purpose. Why not have it be a social enterprise that charges the same as a traditional contractor, except for government, you know that I'm going out and I'm hiring people that are coming out of prison. You know that I'm keeping people off of social programs, out of jail, people are getting their families back, people are stabilizing their lives. All that saves government money and it adds value above what a traditional contractor would do. So if government is already spending the money, if you're already going to fix up these houses, why not hire social enterprise and we will do two things for the same price?
Well, and Kalen, I think that's an important point. I've heard you say that a number of times, my interactions with you about how as a social enterprise, you know, you can deliver and, you know, deliver sort of same product and same service as a mainstream business. Yet you can also serve such a social purpose that perhaps sometimes a mainstream business doesn't always pay attention to or not as much attention.
Totally. It's not to say that other construction companies don't hire folks that might have barriers to employment. There's just not that many companies who are built exclusively to do that. So we're used to working with folks. We've got, 12 or 13 different languages spoken in the company right now. We are used to navigating that stuff. When folks need housing support, when folks need anger management support, when folks need all of that kind of active coaching that it takes to get somebody ready to work on a job site, we are ready to do all of that. That's what we're built to do.
That's just the beauty of your model. It's such a holistic approach to well-being and to employment and to making our community a better place. You are involved in many different social enterprises, and you've been fairly responsible for those social enterprises collaborating together. I know there's a high degree of collaboration in the North End. in all kinds of ways, but certainly in the social enterprise sector. So tell me a little bit more about some of your other social enterprise initiatives and and how you see them working together.
Yeah, I'd be happy to talk about some of the other social enterprises I've been able to be involved in. For those of people who know me, I have ADHD, and this might explain how many social enterprises I've been involved in, because I have a lot of attention to throw at a lot of things. But I was lucky enough to kind of get my start in social enterprise co-founding Aki Energy along with Darcy Wood and Sean Loney, like maybe 10 years ago now, I don't know. That was a fantastic opportunity. It was a fantastic opportunity for a number of reasons. Aki Energy was a renewable energy company. It was Indigenous owned and Indigenous run. We worked almost exclusively in northern Manitoba installing community owned renewable energy and ensuring that all of the installation work that went into putting together that renewable energy happened by local people trained locally. So our job was to install renewable energy. It was also to help people gain skill in the community, in some cases to start their own renewable energy companies. It was a fantastic opportunity, both to learn how to start a company from the ground up. I was there for 6 years. And in that time, we went from launch to doing over $25 million in renewable energy work in northern Manitoba. So it was quite a steep runway. And it also gave me the opportunity to work at an Indigenous owned and Indigenous run company, which is, I mean, I'm a white kid from Toronto for anyone who can't see me. And I'm really type A. And learning just to stop talking and slow down has been the single most difficult part of it. I was like, we should have a meeting agenda. And this should, like item A, 7 minutes, item B, 3 minutes. And Darcy Wood, my boss at Aki Energy, would just look at everyone else and be like, oh, they're from Toronto, and would just laugh at me and would be like, sit on your hands and be quiet. This meeting is going to take as long as it needs, right? The process needs to take as long as it needs. This is how we work in community. There was so much that I learned while I was at Aki, but I think that was one of the biggest ones, was for somebody who is type A, who's not from this community, learning to shut up and slow down and work at the pace of community, I think was a very important lesson for me early on. So anyways, that's Aki Energy, and I'm super proud of the work I was able to do there. I got stolen from Aki Energy at some point to co-found Aki Foods, which is really using the same model that we can work with First Nations to start community-owned food centers that would be training and employing folks in community. And so in that role, we worked with Garden Hill First Nation, and we actually started one of the largest, I think, poultry farms, commercial poultry farms and gardens in northern Manitoba. So I think they were raising 99 chickens at a time, which is one chicken under the legal limit. We were growing, we had an orchard. They were growing potatoes and squash and kind of everything you can grow in northern Manitoba, the greenhouse. Every building in that installation, the entire farm was built and run by local folks. So in that way, my role really was figuring out the money, was helping with some of the logistics. Again, at all of the Aki projects, our job was to stay out of the way as much as possible, while helping community kind of make the magic happen. I'm a director of the Social Enterprise Center as well, which is basically a big old former industrial building in Manitoba's North End. It actually used to be a mail sorting facility, and it's full of social enterprises. Every social enterprise I've ever worked at has been based out of there, and there is magic that happens around that coffee machine. The real goal of the Social Enterprise Center for me is to get like-minded organizations sharing a building. Lucas Stewart, who used to run Purpose Construction, was one of my first mentors around the mechanics of running a business. How do you fire somebody legally? How do you hire somebody? How do you manage a cash flow crisis? How do you, all of these basic questions that come up when you're running a business? It meant that I was 2 minutes across the hall from someone who'd been doing it for a decade. That was make it or break it for me. That was huge. And I think now that I'm helping lead the Social Enterprise Center, it's just trying to provide more of those opportunities to more people who could use them. We've got really experienced folks in the building, and some of my most exciting projects, including the housing project, was born around that coffee machine because we're all over-caffeinated. And the more coffee we drink, the more we talk.
That's just like a great story about some of the evolution or how some of these things have come into being. Lots of us know about the Social Enterprise Center now. We know about Aki. And I just learned something today. I'm thinking 99 chickens, hey?
Yeah. That's the legal maximum.
Yeah, that's a great story as well.
That's it for part 1 of the Boldness Talks episode featuring Kalen Taylor. Keep your eyes out for part 2, which will be released next week. Thanks for listening, and don't forget to follow us on social media at WPG Boldness on Twitter and Instagram, and the Winnipeg Boldness Project on Facebook. Or visit winnipegboldness.ca for more of our project info.